Welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to know about the process from the operating system. So first of all, what is a process? A process means a program which is executing. Okay, the execution of a process progresses in a sequential fashion, like the program counter. And a process is called as active entity and the program is a passive entity. Okay, so see here a diagram is there, right? A program which is residing on the hard disk. When when fetched to the primary memory, it will become a process. Okay, so normally a program resides in the hard disk. So whenever the program is fetched from hard disk to the primary memory, then it will start. It will be it will be executed by the CPU. So the program will become a process. Okay, so that's why process is called a active entity, whereas program is called a passive entity. A process includes text section, stack, data section, program counter, register contents, and so on. So let us see the structure of the process. Okay, so here the process is having the stack, heap, data, and text. And we can see that the stack will grow downwards, whereas the heap will grow upwards. Okay, so here, so let us know the functions of the stack here. So the stack works based on the last in first out manner. Okay, the stack is used whenever there is a function call in the program. A layer is pushed into the stack when a function is called. The arguments to the function and the local variables used in the function are put into the layer of the stack. Once the function call returns to the calling program, the layer of the stack is popped. So next, here it comes the data section. The data section contains the values of initialized and uninitialized global variables in the program. And the text section consists of the set of instructions to be executed for the process. Okay, and the last one is the heap section. So we are going to use the local variables, global variables in the, we are going to save that in the heap section. Okay, the text, data, and stack sections comprise the address space of the process. The program counter has the address of the next instruction to be executed in the process. So next comes the process state. A process will undergo the 5 states here, starting from new to the terminate state. Okay, so here as the process executes, it changes the state. The state of a process refers to the what the process currently does. A process can be in one of the 5 states in its lifetime. So the first one is new state, ready state, running state, waiting state, and terminate state. Okay, so first coming to the new state. So when the process is created, so it will be in the new state. Okay, and when the particular process is submitted to the ready queue, okay, then it will be in the ready state. Okay, the process is waiting to be assigned to a processor. In the case of the running state, the instructions are being executed by the processor. And the waiting state, the process is waiting for some event to occur in the case of the waiting state. And the terminate state, the process has finished the execution. Okay, in the previous scenario we have seen the how the program will become a process when it is fetched to the primary memory. Okay, so when the program is fetched from hard disk to the primary memory, okay, so then you can consider that one as a new state. Okay, when the program enters to the primary memory, it will become a process, right? So the state is called as a new state when the program is fetched to the main memory. And when the process is there in the primary memory, when the program becomes the process, then it is called a ready state because In the primary memory, there will be set of instructions to be executed by the CPU. Okay, so at that time, here the process is in the ready state. And when it will go to the when it will go to the running state, so when the process start executing, okay, when the process is executed by the CPU, then it will go to the running state. So here the process is in the new state when it is being created. Then the process is moved to the ready state where it waits till it is taken for the execution. There can be many such process in the ready state. So one of these process will be selected and will be given to the processor, and the selected process moves to the running state. A process while running may have to wait for input output or wait for any other event to take place. That process is now moved to the waiting state. After the event for which the process was waiting gets completed, the process is moved back to the ready state. Similarly, if the process completes execution, it moves to the terminated state. Okay, so if the process completes the execution, it is moved to the exit state. When a job is residing in the secondary memory, it is called a program, which is idle, that is a passive entity. So when that particular job is fetched to the main memory, the program becomes a process. So when the process starts execution, it is placed from ready queue to the running state. Okay, and here you can see that the process can move among these three states, that is the ready, running and waiting state. Okay, and while the process is executing, if there is any input or output event, then it will be placed in the waiting state. Okay, and that particular process after the interrupt is completed, then it can be again taken to the ready state and then to the running state. Okay, so a process can move among these three states, but only once it can be created and destroyed, that is the new state and terminate state. A process can undergo these three states any number of times. Okay, but it can go through this new state and the terminate state only once. So next one is the process control block. So it is like a data structure of the process. The information about each process is maintained in the operating system in a process control block, which is also called as task control block. The information present in the process control blocks include the following. That is the process ID, state, program counter, registers, memory limits and list of open files. Okay, so you can consider this one, the process control block, as a just like the ID of the student. So in the student ID there will be his name, roll number, what is the branch, okay, and which year he is studying. So you can know the details of the student. So similar to that, if you want to know about the details of a process, you can refer to this process control block. Okay, so the first one is the process ID. So it will denote the identification number of the process. In a system, each and every process will be having its own ID number. Okay, so next one is the process state. A process can be in any of the states, in any of the 5 states. Okay, it may be in new state, ready state, running state, waiting state or terminate state. And the next one is the program counter. Okay, so the process will be executed sequential manner. Okay, one by one. The program counter points to the particular process to be executed. Okay, so next one is the registers, CPU registers. So we are having the multiple registers like accumulators, index registers, stack pointer and general purpose register to execute the process. And the next one is the memory limits. To manage the memory, so we are going to use the base and limit registers. Okay, and the next one is the list of open files. So it includes the list of input output devices allocated to the process and the input output status information and the accounting information of the particular process. So this is about the process control block. So you can imagine that this one as a ID of a student, which includes all the basic details of the students. So next one is the context switching. Okay, a context switch is also referred to a process switch or a task switch. So a context switch is a switching of the CPU from one process to the another. A context is the contents of a CPU's registers and program counter at any point in the time. A context switch is sometimes described as a kernel suspending execution of one process on the CPU and resuming execution of some other process that had previously been suspended. So in a system with multi-programming, so there will be multiple number of programs executing actually, but the CPU will be frequently switching among the process. Okay, so here we can see a simple scenario here. Okay, so here the process P0 is executing. Then there an interrupt occurs here. Okay, an interrupt or input output event occurs, and there is a context switch between the process P0 to P1. Okay, so for that process, so we are going to save the process control block of the process P0. Okay, so in the previous slide we have already seen that the details of the process will be saved in the process control block automatically. So when there is a interrupt or input output event, then the contents of the process P0 are saved. Okay, and then there will be switching to the process P1, which is idle. Okay, so here the process P0 is executing, then the context switch occurs. So after that the contents of the PCB are saved, and then we are going to reload the process control block contents of the P1, and the P1 will start executing here. Okay, so after the execution of the process P1, the interrupt is completed, right? So it will be saved. The contents of the process P1 are saved, and we are going to resume back to the process P0. Okay, so for that, so we are saving the process control block 1, and then we are reloading the contents of the process P0. Okay, that means we are resuming back to the process P0 execution. So this is about the context switching of the process. So there will be frequent context switching of the process in the system. Okay, so here the process is nothing but it is a part of the program. So when it is idle, it is called a program, and whenever the program is executing, it is called a process. And thanks for watching my video.